107.5 WBLS, your number one source for R&B.
I've got one of my homeboys in the building, and you know and love him as the founder of Fubu, For Us, By Us, and you also know and love him from Shark Tank. Mr. Daymond John is in the building.
Thank you, Shaila. Thanks for having me.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Hey, see?
I was telling everybody I was 48. Everybody convinced me that I'm 47. So I'm really happy now.
Yeah, but you're looking 37. So
thank you.
That's a good thing.
Amazing. Absolutely.
You know, where are you from exactly, Daymond?
I'm from Hollis, Queens.
Okay, because you know Brooklyn claims you sometimes.
Well, I was born in Brooklyn. I was born in St. John's Hospital, and I grew up every summer, on McDonough between Patchen and Reed, hanging out with, my grandmother's house. But Hollis, Queens is where I was raised.
Well, I just want to let you know that Brooklyn claims you. Shouts to Brooklyn.
New York, anywhere in New York claims me. I'm fine with that.
And where did you go to high school?
I went to Bayside High.
Oh,
Bayside,
wow.
Queens, yeah.
On the come up, I was amazed to find out your story. Let's just take them back to the 90 hats and the New York Coliseum. Tell them how it all started with Fubu.
Oh, it started where I was trying to I was trying to address a market where I thought that we were being ignored. It was hip hop, and people were saying, hip hop ain't gonna be around. And then the designers were going, we don't want to sell clothes to whether it's African American or whether it's inner city kids or people who loved hip hop. And I sold a bunch of hats.
Right.
Those old tie top hats. They kind of look like the ones with the balls on them, but
right.
they don't have the ball on the top. They have a tied string.
Right.
And I remember standing outside the Coliseum Mall on 165th Street and Jamaica Avenue, and it was a Good Friday, 1989. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I felt like it was yesterday. I sold $800 worth of hats. And when I sold that $800 worth of hats, I realized I was onto something. And then I would just go to every place that I could to sell a hat. So, of course, I wanted to go uptown. I'd go uptown outside the Apollo Theater, on a Friday night. Mm-hmm. Take that train local. I wouldn't get home till Monday, right? I'd go stand outside Junior's, and I would just...
held a full-time job at Red Lobster?
Held a full-time job at Red Lobster. So, I was raised in the most amazing city in the world, and it's the one that gave me my mentality and my hustle and my grind.
Right, and then the big break with LL. How'd that happen? Did you just because he was a neighbor of yours, or
LL lived in the neighborhood? And at that time, I was a roadie, and I was going on all these tours, just going to hang out. I was on the tour with the Fresh Fest where it was LL. I don't want to make anybody feel old, out there, but it was LL, Fat Boys, Houdini, Big Daddy Kane,
yes,
and Run DMC. And we'd go up and down the Eastern Seaboard, and I would just go and try to get an all access sticker just to hang out.
Right.
And then he lived in the neighborhood, so I went over to his house, but I had already had Ralph McDaniels had kind of put me on his show on Fat Fashions. He was doing these fashion shows, and a lot of the kids in the community were wearing it. So when I finally went over to LL and asked him could he wear it, he couldn't say no because the power of the community kind of like, you need to get behind this guy. And then LL himself said, I'm only here because Russell gave me an opportunity, and because all these amazing people in New York give me opportunity, I'm going to give you the opportunity.
Wow. And how did you come up with the name Fubu?
Well, it really, I never thought that it was going to be so big, so it was For Us, By Us. And, and the us was never, and people think it was only about African Americans, but I didn't want to also be what I felt was the prejudice that was in the market. I didn't want, if somebody was of another color or culture, I didn't want them to feel excluded from our amazing culture that is and music that is populated by African Americans. So it was Fubu, For Us, By Us. The first place that really bought it when I put it like in Right On magazine was in Japan.
Man.
Yeah.
Right On magazine.
It was the Japanese that bought it first because they wanted to emulate our culture so bad.
Good. Excellent. So how did you, you've been For Us, and now you're in front of us on a regular in Shark Tank.
Yeah.
How'd you make that transition?
It kind of goes back to the theory of the power broke, and I was doing something I loved. Whenever I went out and tried to make money at something, I never made money at it. And when I stopped and I started wanting to sell hats and dress people, I made money. When I stopped trying to do other things in business and I said, I want to give it back, I want to pay it forward, and I started going on to CSNBC, MSNBC, Donnie Deutsch, and things of that nature, and writing books about business so people wouldn't make the same mistakes I made. Mark Burnett said, "Hey, I got a business show coming out, and I would love for you to be part of the cast." And we never thought that people would want to see 5 business people talking business.
Absolutely.
And now Shark Tank has just become this
What?
phenomenon where it's one of the top shows watched from kids 5 to 15 years old, and it's one of the top shows watched with kids and parents together. And when you can see that a kid wants to be a shark just as much as an athlete or an actress now, you know that you're making a change, and you know that you're passing this baton on to our future generation.
And so you've made over $7 million in investments on that show?
I have, yes.
What has been the most lucrative, you think?
The most lucrative, well, there's 2. There's one is called Bombas socks, and they basically, every sock you buy, they give a pair to the homeless shelter because that's the homeless biggest concern, the care for their feet. And these socks are amazing. They don't have a seam in the toe, so they don't hurt. So they're really amazing. And then another one is 3 Jerks Jerky. It is beef jerky. It tastes like it's made from filet mignon. You can read everything on the bag.
What?
You know what it is. Not a high sodium count. So it's like eating a steak in your car, on the way to work. So those 2 are really, really doing amazing. But I have probably about another 5 that are really doing great. And then some of them just putter along, and some fail. The shark. Just because you work with a shark, it doesn't mean we have the golden ticket to everything.
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, then Fubu would be Ralph Lauren, right?
Hello.
So it really still is up to the entrepreneur to be a great entrepreneur.
So I know all of this that you're telling us has to be a little tidbits in the book, but what else can we find in The Power of Broke?
First of all, the book, The Power of Broke, is my 3rd book. It hit New York Times bestseller list, and it also was number 1 on Wall Street Journal. And in the book, the theory is that you don't need money to make money. We've been taught that all our lives as kids growing up. You need money to make money, and you absolutely do not. My favorite stat that I show is that whether it's Forbes or Inc. Top 1,000 wealthiest people in the world, over 60% of them are self-made men and women. That means they were broke. And if you needed money to make money, then they should never get on the list, because everybody on the list with money would never fall off the list, right? Or we see people like lotto winners and athletes 3 years out of the league of making $100 million. We see them bankrupt. So obviously they had money, but they didn't exercise what's more important, the power of broke. So the power of broke is a mentality. It's how you go out there and acquire customers. And this book is not about me. I put 15 other world famous people, CEOs like the guy who started Under Armour, who's doing $4 billion a year right now. When he started Under Armour, he didn't have enough money to pay a toll when he was going across the bridge, so they had to write him a ticket. And so I put in there the recipe that you need to be successful, and takeaways that people can activate today, open up their cell phone, and start making $1 million at the end of the year.
Wow. Talking about the recipe, and reading your story and then finding out that you are dyslexic, you know, and had it, you really come to understand that there are so many different ingredients in all of us that are abilities that turn out to be abilities rather than a disability that helped you to get to this point. Yeah. So, I had to mention that because I know there's somebody out there who's saying, well, I have this disability and maybe that might stop me from being able.
If we want to start listing what some people would call a disability, well, then I could say, listen, I'm short, I'm African-American, grew up in the hood, my parents got divorced, I never went to college, I got left back once, I'm dyslexic, can't sing, can't rap, can't dance. Can't throw a football, can't do any of that stuff. And that did not stop me. A lot of people think about dyslexia as a challenge, but 4 out of the 6 sharks are dyslexic. 40% of entrepreneurs are dyslexic. 85% of professional chefs are dyslexic. Einstein, who we call one of the most brilliant people on our planet in our history, is dyslexic or was dyslexic. So all of those are excuses. And when I travel the world and I see people that haven't eaten for a week and we think we have challenges here, or even I go down the block and I see somebody who gave their legs for our freedom, we don't have a problem if you have your health and a way to get out there and get your hustle on. And I think about it, a couple of years ago, I was a foot messenger working for First Boston on 53rd Street, and I used to take that train and get right out of that station every single day with maybe about $3 in my pocket for lunch and dinner, and now I'm standing there meeting other entrepreneurs while they're coming out to a
one
book
block
signing.
away.
That's
one
it.
block away.
That's it.
Now it's a whole different thing. It must be an amazing feeling to now be able to walk up to Barnes & Noble a whole different person. And hopefully the thing is that you can speak into the spirit of other people today and helpfully move them right along. And then they'll be standing, for you and by you as a wealthy millionaire.
When they come out, they got to understand one thing. This is way bigger than me. If you come out there and there's 100, 200 people, think about this. They're all like-minded people out there. And right in that crowd, there's your distributor, your web designer, your next investor. So come out there with a bunch of your business cards and get busy.
The book is called The Power of Broke. The brother is Daymond John, and he's one of our own on 107.5 WBLS. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shaila.